All right, awesome. Hey everyone, thanks for coming in. Very excited to present or kick off the event this year 2025 at this venue. It's for the first time we are hosting here at Microsoft Reactor. So some really great news and good things happening in terms of the community goals and the discount vouchers that we have, and also how we are helping out the community in terms of the certification journey that they have and the learning. We also have a very great lineup of the speakers who are scheduled for this year in the coming months. Just to kick off, so we have about 25,000 members now on Meetup. LinkedIn is I think a couple of months back, we were about 10,000, so it has grown to 30,000, almost close to 40,000. There are two more groups, Azure and AWS Pro and CubeStrong, basically for the people who have achieved all the certifications in AWS, something similar to CubeStrong. Now, as we always say, please share the moment, share the happy moments and memories, click photos, and please scan this QR code, upload the photos that you click for the event. You'll probably see your own photo by clicked by someone else. So feel free to download it. Please don't delete the photos. More than welcome to upload any photos. Before we kick off, acknowledgement of the country. So Kubernetes Australia respectfully acknowledge the traditional land of Gadigal Nation people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Now, to kick the session for tonight, I'll hand over the mic to Ram, who will be our MC for tonight, and he'll be talking through the different prizes, the quiz that we have, and also thanks to our sponsors from SolarWinds, Microsoft, and Code Cloud. Over to you.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to K8SUG. New year, the new year is the new year. So we have two speakers lined up. One is from Sam Alavi, their handshake is efficiency with no auto professional. And also we have Christian, and also he will be supported by Vaishnavi from online for K8 and application monitoring SolarWinds Observability. He is our sponsor today. And we also have a quiz time, and also we have some prizes for it. We have Code Cloud access for Code Cloud access voucher, and as well as we have certification voucher as well. So also we have some slots. Yeah. So our mission is we need to learn faster. We need to share our knowledge and get certified cheaper. We will be sharing the voucher with the voucher so that you will get the discounts on it and go stronger in the career. So we were who were getting all Kubernetes certification earlier we known as CubeStrong. Now we changed it to CubeStrong. So we have the K8SUG. This is the city team, organization team, and Yom founded our K8SUG, and it's supported by Susan Wu, Tia Wu. They are based out of Melbourne, and Anubhav is our lead organizer, and we have Harrison, you, Felix, me, and as well as Mike Faisal. So today is our main sponsors are Code Cloud, and event sponsors are Microsoft as well as SolarWinds, who sponsored our food and drinks. So if you look at the project, we founded in September 2022 in Singapore, then later in Australia in April 23, and then we progressed to multiple countries. And the recent one is in Bangalore. So it is growing. And we have 25,000 members in K8SUG group. So the upcoming events, so we have today we are having Sydney Meetup. The next one is Philippines and Canada, followed by Melbourne and UK. So the Kubestar program now rebranded as Kubestrongness, basically who is achieving CTA, CKD, CKS, KCN, and KCC. KCSA will get Kubestar or Kubestrong or branded as Kubestrong, and they also get a blue jacket. So our founder Yong Kang is wearing a blue jacket, like similar to astronaut, gold jacket. So this is Kubestrong. So as I mentioned earlier, we were known as Kubestrong for all certificate persons. Now we will be known as Kubestrong from February 2nd onwards. So there are vouchers. You can use this promotion codes if you are attending the certificate who are planning to register in certifications. So you can use this certification where you can get 47% off for Pro AI certifications and 53% off for CKA, CKD, and CKS, and 55% for all K8 exams. You can note down this code. So there is a Kubernetes Bible book. There is an offer available for K8SUG members. That's Kubernetes Bible. You can get 25% off if you use the code in patch.
Sorry, just to add on that. So we actually got the delivery got delayed a bit. So next Meetup onwards. So as I was mentioning about the quiz, so the top 3 winners of the quiz, they'll also get the free Kubernetes Bible book that is sponsored by Packet. So next Meetup onwards, the top 3 winners in the leaderboard will also have the option to grab their hand on the Kubernetes Bible book.
So we have a Share the Joy 50% off campaign where you can donate any certificate. Whoever is taking certification exam getting passed, you will get a 50% voucher that can be donated to the community, so that whoever is looking for a certification, they can use that voucher and then get it certified. So you can share joy. That's a part of the program which we are running. We also have Share the Joy 100% off campaign. So we have 3 vouchers for 2 lucky winners for the exam CKA, CKD, and CKS. So just please request join this particular the lucky draw. So you can join us as speakers, volunteers, and sponsors. We require volunteers so that we can spread the word and we can have more frequent speakers, etc. So you can please, if you are interested, you can be free speakers, volunteers, and sponsors. You can follow us on social media, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Telegram, and Setup. So coming to speakers, so we have 2 topics today. Enhance AKS efficiency with no data provisioning by Sam Alavi from Lab 3. So I invite Sam Alavi for speaker.
good. Yeah, thank you. Cool.
Yeah, and because it brings a dynamic scalability to your cluster, it's good for optimizing the performance in your cluster because it picks the best infrastructure for you rather than relying on the fixed infrastructure that you pre-provision for your cluster. And also it optimizes the cost for running your cluster. Optimizing the cost is quite important, and especially if you are running a big cluster or workload with a big cluster, probably you already have hit that if you are not constantly maintaining your cluster or your fleet of the cluster, so you will end up paying a lot for resources that probably it's over provision or it's because it's underutilized, you over provision, and there are heaps of wasted resources in your cluster that you don't use it, but you end up paying for those. But what Karpenter does is constantly looking at those based on the actual utilization of your workload and removes any unrequired resources or wasted resources and keeps your cluster running at the optimal stage. The Karpenter core itself is able to support both of the Linux and Windows workloads, but from the AKS perspective, it comes to a bit of limitation at the moment. So the AKS doesn't support Windows workloads because it's still in preview. So hopefully before GA, they're gonna hit that, and we're gonna see that. How Karpenter works is basically there are 4 different stages involved with the main workflow when it comes to the Karpenter. What it does is basically it's constantly looking at all the pods that the default scheduler inside the Kubernetes mark them as unschedulable pods. And by constantly looking at those, and because they are not able to be scheduled by the default workflow within the cluster, try to accommodate a node for them and accommodate the infrastructure. So that's a closed loop that Karpenter does all the time. And then it analyzes the needs for those workloads and determines the optimal configuration based on the resource configuration and the quota that you specify for those nodes and deployments. And based on that, and what's already in the queue, the beauty of the job with Kubernetes is it determines based on the entire workload that it requires and intelligently picks the best infrastructure that is required for fit all those workloads in there. What it does again is it directly communicates with the cloud provider rather than communicating with the cluster API. And because of that, it's much faster comparing to the default scaler within the cluster because the communication is direct to the cloud provider. And for example, what the NAP does inside the AKS is that that AKS provider added on top of the Kubernetes Karpenter core is responsible for communicating with the Azure. And apart from that, it understands everything from the Azure platform as well. So it understands all the Azure APIs, for example, for receiving all the VMS queues and all the required for maintaining that infrastructure. From that perspective, it simplified the communication with the cloud provider and picks the best VM size that is required for the workload. And from there is handed over to the cloud provider to add a new node to the cluster and make it available for the workload to be scheduled on that. Another stage of that is basically deprovisioning the wasted resources. And once it does that, another stage of the Karpenter is constantly looking at all the current utilization within your cluster. And it picks, for example, similar to what you can do with the bean packing, if you're familiar with the concept of the bean packing. It does a bit of bean packing for you and tries to move your workloads based on the different disruption strategies that you define. And again, it's a very important step inside the Kubernetes workflow for optimizing the cost and optimizing the infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure in your cluster. This one, for example, is the architecture from the Karpenter itself. So looking at all the pending pods or all those pods which are not scheduled, and what basically describes all those 4 stages that are involved in the Karpenter. And then all those unschedulable pods, Karpenter will constantly look at them and then communicating and knowing about the cloud provider, is send a request for the cloud provider to make a node available, or to make a best infrastructure available for scheduling those unschedulable pods. And another part of that is this part, which basically looking at optimizing the capacity and the existing infrastructure inside the cluster for you. That's where it looks at, for example, these resources, these pods are evicted, they are required, so the resources can be released, and then rather than this big node, it can go with one smaller node and reduce the running cost of the running infrastructure for you. Some of the key benefits of the NAP is basically, as we talked about that, it's a cost optimization, no wasted resources. So you only provision what you need, and it brings the flexibility in the auto scaling. So dynamically selecting the node size and understanding from the cloud provider that you want to run, it's quite important, and bring a big flexibility into scaling. Because of the direct communication with the cloud provider and all those providers that Kubernetes knows and goes through from there. So it makes it much faster and much quicker scaling response comparing to the traditional scaler that you are running within your cluster. And that's a big step in terms of avoiding the scheduling delays for the workloads, and that's quite noticeable when you are running quite large workloads or very fluctuate workloads in your cluster. So as much as that workload gets bigger and bigger, and it fluctuates as well, so those delays will be noticeable, and avoiding those is quite biggest step forward in terms of scaling. Simplified management is another key benefits of that, as we discussed, because you don't need to rely on your manual or pre-provisioning configuration inside your cluster. You completely leave it to the Karpenter or NAP provider for your AKS cluster, and they understand from the cloud provider what they need to do. Another big benefit of that is because it's constantly communicating with the cloud provider, it's always running on the up-to-date information from cloud provider. So it understands always what are the new, for example, VM SKUs available for running. For example, if your cluster is running on the DSV4 and the DSV5 is available because it's much cheaper, so you can rely on running the nodes on the DSV5 because you are paying less for the virtual machines with the newer version. And that's another cool thing about the Karpenter, that because it understands and knows it's a cloud aware and it has the cloud in mind, that brings a big benefit to your scalability. Another big benefit is basically you can install the NAP or you can enable the NAP for your AKS cluster into 2 different modes. The first mode is similar to any other Kubernetes cluster, which you can enable, as we call it, as a standalone or an installation. you bring your own installation using Helm, and you completely manage the installation. So you are responsible for keep it up to date and bringing all the default configuration and everything you want. But when it comes to the NAP, once you provision your AKS cluster with NAP, so you can go with the auto version. The auto version basically means you go completely with the fully managed feature within your AKS cluster, and you don't need to rely on any, for example, keeping your Karpenter component up to date within the cluster. You leave it completely the platform, and platform will handle all those for you as a managed feature. Similar to any other managed feature that they are available within the platform. Another big benefit and added as a selling review, the entire NAV is a selling review for the AKS cluster. It's not GA. And once it's GA, so there is a plan by AKS product team to make it as a default scaler for the cluster. So once the NAV is GA inside for the AKS cluster, so that will be the default scaler unless you want to opt out and change it from that. And because of that, with the recent update, the team added support for the new and existing cluster. So that's another cool thing, that even you are running AKS cluster, existing AKS cluster, or if you are having a big fleet, you still have the ability to add the NAP and enable the NAP on those clusters. But one catch with this is you must be running AKS cluster 1.28 and higher. So it's not supported on any Kubernetes below 1.28. Another cool thing with the Karpenter and also NAP is it supports all the on-demand, reserved, and spot instances available within the Azure environment. So by default, on-demand is the first capacity type that you get, but you have the capability that define a different profile, different scaling, nodeful scaling profile for your cluster. For example, always looking at your reserved instances, because you already paid for the reserved instances within your Azure environment, and you want to benefit from that saving that you get from the reserved instance. You can define a specific profiles that, for example, always look at the reserved instances and get the node from the reserved instances. And if it's not available, or a specific VMS queue is not available in your reserved instance, it can grab or it can move from the on-demand or even from the spot instances. With the recent update, the NAP also support the spot instances. The spot instances, you get a huge cost saving when you are moving with the spot instances. If you're familiar with the spot instances inside the Azure platform, basically spot instances are, you can borrow the capacity from other customers that are running inside the same region, but you are on the lower priority. And if any customer wants that capacity available to them, so Microsoft released that spot instance from you and give it back to the customer who needs it. But it's pretty good for cost saving. You can get up to 80% cost saving if you are going with the correct SKU, VM SKU, which is quite important, especially if you are running a large cluster. And for example, handling the disruptive or eviction of the spot instances is added to the latest version of the NAP inside the AKS, and it's very well handling that inside the AKS cluster. Another beauty of the NAP in the AKS is basically it's capable of the drift detection for your node image update. It's quite important, especially if you want to keep your cluster quite consistent across all the nodes, and making sure all the node images that you are running inside the cluster is consistently based on the specific node image. And for example, if you are running with, let's say, image 1.27 or Ubuntu 22 1.27, and you want next week a new image will be available for the AKS cluster, and rather than you going and updating all your clusters, so you can rely on this one, or once a new node is requested by the Karpenter, because it's you haven't pinged your version for the node image, it always requests the latest image for that specific VM, for that specific node based on that VM SKU. And based on that, you can make sure that all the node images that you are running across your cluster are up to date. Unless you want to ping to a specific image, to a specific image number. If you ping to a specific image number, then it ignores that. And then you can make sure you're always running on a specific node image for any new node, or for that specific profile that you want the Karpenter use for node provisioning. There are some limitations and constraints that attach to the NAP. Some of them coming from the Karpenter, some of them specifically for the NAP. If you are using the with the K8S cluster, that you need to keep in mind. Obviously, the feature itself is still in preview. It's still in preview for the entire 2024, but there has been a couple of updates on the feature itself. So engineering team for the K8S is constantly working on that to improve and basically keep it up to date based on the Karpenter open source upstream project, and adding more feature and supporting more feature and capability for the NAP itself. But it's still good if you want to start playing around with that one. But there might be some feature or some capability that may change once the feature is GA. As discussed, the 1.28 is the mandate thing. Another thing is the Azure provider with NAP, which is added on top of the Karpenter core, it still doesn't know about all the VM SKUs available inside the platform. For example, you cannot define a node profile for going with the NVIDIA nodes, so it doesn't support that one. But supporting for the GPU nodes, so you can create a profile, node profile to support the GPU nodes, or if you want any GPU for running AI workloads, it's supported, it's added now, but it's still limited. Not all the Azure platform VM SKUs are supported yet. Another big limitation is apart from the Kubernetes version. So it's not an official thing that is only supported, but by engineering team, it's already tested on the Azure CNI overlay networking with the Cilium data plane. So that's one thing. If your cluster is not running on this specific networking with this with the Cilium data plane, so you might be limited, or the behavior may not be exactly expected as it should be. So, but this is the main primary thing by the engineering team for now, and adding as a default thing to the K8S cluster. So if your cluster networking is different from this, then you may need to consider upgrade the networking first before moving to NAP and start using the Karpenter itself. And that means even if you add the Karpenter as a standalone installation to your cluster, it may not behave or work or function as expected. So there might be some misfunctionality in that area. The other thing is it cannot be enabled and work alongside the cluster autoscaler at the same time. So you need to choose to go with the cluster autoscaler or completely go with the NAP feature as well. And if you are adding to any existing, cluster, and that cluster has the CA enabled, then you need to remove it first, and then to be able to add the NAP feature to that one. Also, a few other limitations which are very specific to the NAP at the moment. For example, K8S private clusters are not supported at the moment. and specifically with the custom DNS, custom private DNS, if you are using for your private cluster, IPv6, Windows nodes, and it doesn't support stop and start modes at the moment. It might be, those features might be added and get updated with the NAP every month or in every update that we receive for the NAP, but at the moment they're considered as part of the limitations. Some best practices if you want to consider implementing the NAP for your cluster. The first one is quite obvious. Never run the Karpenter on the nodes that is already managed by the Karpenter, because it's going to conflict and interfere with the scaling process managed by the Karpenter itself. Be more flexible when you are specifying the instance type for your Karpenter. When you are defining the node pool profile, typically you can specify the SKU family, and by default it gets all the up-to-date SKU VM sizes included in that family from the cloud provider itself. But by more flexible is, if you don't want any virtual machine SKUs to be used within your cluster, just exclude them. Don't go with the, I just want this and this. Let's grab everything and exclude a few if you don't want. Time. Sure. Finish now. Yeah. The third point is quite important. You need to always define the request limit and quota for your workload based on the specifications, because that's what Karpenter evaluates and assess the criteria for using that, for requesting the nodes, and that's quite crucial for the calculation of what the best VMSQ is for you. So that's quite important to be defined for all the workloads in their specifications. Consider utilizing the spot instances, especially if it's unpredictable workload. So that's because of the huge cost saving that it brings to running your workloads. And it's very well maintained and handled by the Karpenter. The eviction of the spot nodes is handled by the NAP inside the AKS. So consider definitely using the spot instances, especially if it's a very dynamic workload and it brings a substantial cost saving to you. At the end, it's still in preview even after the GA. Always consider using the Azure Monitor and Container Insight solution for constantly monitoring the usage and the logs and all the metrics, and because it helps you to fine-tune the performance, and from the cost perspective also, you can always monitor the spending and get alerts by the Azure cost alerts as well. I think we need to skip the demo. Yes?
Yeah, just running short of time.
Yeah, no problem at all, sure. I thought I'd get more time, but that's all right. Yeah, to wrap up, so that's a summary basically. It's a quite interesting feature. If you are running AKS, if you are on Azure platform, start using the NAP as a managed feature, which basically similar to the cluster scaler. You just add it to the cluster and it does everything for you. And start exploring that, exploring the capability, and you will enjoy it. It brings a huge benefit to your cluster scalability process. Real-time and intelligent scaling is another thing that another benefit that you will add to your clusters, and eliminating the manual pool management and improving the efficiency. These are all the big advantage and benefit that you are bringing to your cluster management, and obviously cost-effective and reliable solutions. Next step, always keep up to date with the NAP. There is no ETA for when it will be GA, but hopefully sometime soon this year. And once it's GA, definitely recommended to be used in the production. And yeah, combining with the monitoring and optimizing using Azure Insight is another next thing that you need to mix it with using the NAP. I think that's what I have. Sorry, we have to skip the demo, but I'm more than happy just maybe another session just to maybe can go through all the scenarios that NAP can support and create a demo for them.
Sure.
Any questions?
Thanks, Sam. Just by 8 we have to be out, so
Yes,
make
sure.
sure we give enough time.
Unfortunately, I have to leave because I need to go to a school for a function. But next session, whenever it is, I'm more than happy to join, and then we can continue on the conversation. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for taking the smaller thing in your case. Thank you very much. And sorry for.
No, that's all right. All good.
So
All
just
good. That's a good opportunity to come for pay another visit.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
So we invite this and actually from Solar.
Thanks, everyone.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. That was an amazing talk and very well handled at the last moment, taking over the demo as well. Now, for everyone out here, your feedback, your inputs are really valuable. So please scan the QR code and provide us your feedback, your inputs, what you want to hear next, what can be improved, and what's going right with the meetups that we run. Would really appreciate your feedback. Now, exciting part of the event. So today, so as most of you know, who are the regular attendees, so we run the quiz at the end of the talks. We're going to do the same. So we have some pretty cool prizes for tonight. As usual, so Code Cloud is our sponsor, so we every month give away 3 licenses for Code Cloud for the top 3 winners, or based on your preference. And then we also provide the 50% discount vouchers for the Kubernetes exams. That's courtesy our community, the volunteers who are already the Houstonites. They receive a 50% discount voucher code, and they happily volunteer to give it away to the community for you to save some money. Thanks to Microsoft, we are also giving away one year Microsoft 365 subscription to our winners. And we have some really cool swag thanks to our sponsors for tonight, SolarWinds. So we have some really cool jacket there. So there are 3 jackets that will be handed over to, again, based on the leaderboard preferences. And then there are swags for everyone else to grab, like the bags and the t-shirts. But the jackets are t-shirts. That's what I heard from other employees. So they'll be handed over to the prize winners. At the end, we'll do a quick photo before we leave for the night. With that, I'll hand it over to Ram to run the quiz for us, please. Okay, to be able to participate in the quiz, you'll have to be connected to the internet. So if anyone doesn't want to use their data, you can connect to the Wi-Fi here. I think it's right here. We give everyone about a couple of minutes to set things up and then start the quiz.
Hope everybody is able to log in. All good? Can we start the quiz?
Is anyone yet to log in, or are we all good? One more. Come on, guys, this looks really cool. Be quick.
All right. Let's start. What is the primary advantage of the case model auto provisioning? It eliminates the need for auto scaling. It provides nodes dynamically based on what needs. It only supports Linux workloads. It requires manual node selection.
Or
You need to select fast as well. Yeah, answer is It proportions nodes dynamically based on workload needs. Yeah. Yeah, ready for next question? How does a case node auto provisioning determine the optimal node size for a workflow? It randomly selects a VM size from available SKUs. It uses Kubernetes scheduler to pick the best fit node. It analyzes for resource requests and provisions the most suitable VM size, dynamically scale existing nodes which are provisioning ones. Yeah, answer is third one, which analyzes for resource requests and provisions the most suitable VM size dynamically. So Arthur is the first person. We will. Next question. What happens when a case workload no longer needs a provision node in AP? The node is immediately deleted. The node is automatically drained and deprovisioned after a cooldown period. The node remains active indefinitely unless manually removed. The node switches to standby mode for future use. The correct answer is the node is automatically drained and deprovisioned after a cooldown period. So as far as is the first reading. Next question. Which of the following scenarios is not good use case for enabling AKS in AP? Running unpredictable workloads with fluctuating demand, reducing cloud costs by dynamically provisioning only the required nodes, running workloads that require a specific VM SKU not supported by NAP, deploying latency sensitive workload that needs pre-provisioned infrastructure. Correct answer is deploying a latency sensitive workload that needs pre-provisioned infrastructure. 3, 4, do it. Since the point. Next question.
Good that Sam is not here, otherwise we would have.
How does NAP compare to the traditional cluster autoscaler in AKS? Now provides more granular control over the node selection and provisioning than CA. CA is faster at scaling nodes than NAP. NAP requires manual intervention where CA is fully automated. CA supports more VM SQS than NAP. The correct answer is NAP provides more granular control on node selection and provisioning than CA. Good job. Next question. What command enables for node auto provisioning in a AKS cluster? AZ AKS node full scale enable NAP. AZ AKS update enable node auto provisioning. AZ AKS update node provisioning mode. AZ AKS install Karpenter. Next question. How does SolarWinds Observability monitor Kubernetes environments? It gathers data through an agent and Kubernetes metrics. It analyzes historical data. It collects information from physical servers running Kubernetes. It relies on periodic log reviews. Rajesh is reading now. No, 100%.
Yes, question.
How does SolarWinds Observability go beyond basic Kubernetes monitoring? It tracks CPU and memory usage. It focuses on cluster level health metrics. It provides real-time tracing logs and application insights. It does not require manual setup for every Kubernetes cluster. It provides real-time tracing logs and application insights. Amir is leading the board.
Next question.
What makes SolarWinds Observability effective in diagnosing application slowdowns in Kubernetes? It continuously monitors CPU and memory usage. It traces transactions and maps service dependencies. It captures snapshots of system performance and fixed interrupts. It alerts administrators after performance issue become critical. It traces transaction and map service dependencies. Amir is leading the board again. Yeah, yes, for it is second place. Last question. Now, how does SolarWinds Observability use AI-driven anomaly detection to improve Kubernetes performance monitoring? It automatically establishes baselines for normal behavior and it detects deviations in real time. It relies on static threshold-based alerts that used for training for the first 2 weeks. It predicts future failures based on historical reports. It identifies anomalies by analyzing Kubernetes cluster configurations. Let's see who makes the, yeah, S4H is the winner, and the answer for the question is it automatically enhances configuration baselines for normal behavior and detects deviations in real time. So winners are S4H, Arthur, Nevin, and Amrit. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, winner is S4H. Who is S4H? So do you want workload access, Kubernetes certification voucher or Microsoft
365.
365?
I had rest of the team.
Okay, can you note down your name? Are you?
Yeah.
You shake your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you want to comment?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Who is Arthur? Yeah, please come. So, please. Yes. Congratulations. That's too much feelings. Do you need workload access or Kubernetes certification? These are the two things which success. Which one? Certification. Certification.
So 50% certification voucher. 50% certification.
Hey, all right. Arthur, good luck.
A little bit flat. Thank you.
Nevin? Congratulations. So do you need workload? Workload. Who is how many? Congratulations. So you do you need for cloud or certification? Kubernetes certification. Okay.
Can you also your details to
So we have one more
yes,
for cloud access and
one more total other access and one more 50% Kubernetes discount portion.
so Azure free. Is it free?
Oh, that's it. Is that here? Yes.
Congratulations. Do you need workload or certification? Workload. Can you possibly have your please? Who is Sangeet?
You need the, so we only have one 50% Kubernetes.
That is already, okay, that was only one. Congratulations. Thank you. So you don't need,
Well, I will take
a certification. Thank you, Ort.
Thank you very much, everyone. So that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for coming in. Hope it was helpful, informative. Looking forward to see you next time. Thank you.
So you can take a group photo.
Oh, yes. Right. Can I request everyone to just come over here? Will you click at the photo, please? And yeah, there is some swag from SolarWinds, some nice t-shirts and bags. Up for grab too. Feel free to grab nice t-shirts.
So, but these are four people. Four. Yes. Also,
Free code cloud,
three certificates.
3 certifications and one Microsoft. Is there any winner who hasn't provided their details yet? Please make sure that you